She kept fixing her scarf all night, until the Mafia boss pulled it off and saw the burn marks. Liora Vale's fingers wouldn't stop shaking. No matter how tightly she tried to knot the emerald silk scarf around her throat, it felt like it was slipping, exposing her, betraying her. She adjusted it for the 100th time, nails scraping the fabric, breath shallow. "Liora! Stop!" Sarah hissed the warning through a perfect smile, her champagne glass poised like a prop in a play she knew by heart. "People are starting to notice." Liora dropped her hand immediately. The ballroom chandeliers glittered like frozen stars overhead, but the light felt harsh, exposing. Everywhere she looked, men in sharp suits, women wrapped in jewels heavier than her monthly rent, and eyes, so many eyes, calculating, hunting, judging. She didn't belong here. She never had. She was a middle school art teacher from a quiet Connecticut town. Most nights, her biggest decision was whether to order a vanilla latte or try something wild like cinnamon foam. But Sarah had pleaded. Actually cried. "I need you, Liora. Preston's introducing me to his associates tonight. I can't face them alone. Please. Just this once." And Liora, tired, raw, still piecing herself together after Evan Mercer's final explosion, had agreed because she didn't want her sister facing fear alone. She should have asked more questions. A tremor ran through her. "I need the restroom," she whispered. Sarah's manicured nails clamped onto her wrist. "Don't leave me. Please. I'll be 5 minutes. Well, well." The voice slid through the air like warm whiskey poured over a knife's edge. They turned. The man standing behind them might as well have stepped from a darker universe, tall, broad-shouldered, tux tailored like it had been sewn onto his body. His hair was black as obsidian, swept back from a face carved in severe, aristocratic planes. But it was his eyes that trapped her. Pale, gray, almost silver, and merciless. Dorian Crest appeared at Sarah's side, sweat glistening faintly at his temples. "Mr. Varren, Cale, sir. This is Liora Vale, Sarah's sister." Liora knew that name. Everyone did, though few said it aloud. Cale Varren, shipping magnate, real estate ghost, whispered criminal, alleged everything. She lifted her hand because politeness was reflex. His hand enveloped hers, warm, strong, and he didn't let go immediately. His thumb brushed her knuckles. Like intentional. Claiming. "A pleasure," Cale murmured. The words slid down her spine like ice water. Her hand jerked free. She reached for her scarf automatically, pulling it higher, shielding herself. Cale's gaze followed the motion. "Are you cold, Liora?" The way he said her name, slow, deliberate, tasting each syllable, felt indecent. "I'm fine," she forced out. "The scarf is beautiful." Someone," the lie tangled on her tongue. "I don't know. It was a gift." Not true. She'd bought it herself the morning after she fled Evan Mercer. The morning after the last time he... "Liora has excellent taste," Sarah cut in too brightly. "She's the artistic one in the family." Cale's attention flicked to Sarah for a heartbeat, assessing, calculating. Then he turned back to Liora, pinning her in place with a gaze that felt like pressure on her skin. "I'd like to speak with you later," he said. "Join me on the terrace." Not a question. A summons. Liora opened her mouth to refuse. "But that would be wonderful, Mr. Varren," Dorian blurted. "She'd be honored." "I'm perfectly capable of speaking for myself," Liora snapped. Her own tone startled her. She hadn't sounded sharp in months. "But I'm not feeling well, so I'll be leaving soon." Sarah made a small choking noise. Dorian went snow-white. Cale, however, smiled. Slow. Controlled. Almost amused. "Unfortunate," he said. He slipped a business card from his jacket, heavy silver embossing, and held it out between 2 fingers. "In case you feel better later." Refusing felt dangerous. She took it. Cale inclined his head, an elegant blade of a gesture. Then he moved into the crowd, the ballroom parting around him like dark water around a shark. The moment he vanished, Dorian's hand clamped around Leora's arm, fingers biting hard. "What the hell was that? Do you know who that man is? Let go of me." She yanked away, pulse spiking. "You embarrassed us in front of Cale Varin," Dorian hissed. "Do you know what that means for my career?" He reached for her, this time grabbing her scarf. "What is wrong with you tonight? You keep touching this thing like—" He tugged. Hard. The silk slipped. Just enough. Sarah gasped. Dorian's eyes widened. Leora's world cracked open. Her hands flew up too late to cover the bruised edges exposed beneath the scarf. Gold music and laughter filled the ballroom, but she heard nothing except her own heartbeat, pounding, frantic, like a trapped bird beating against a cage. "I'm leaving," she whispered. "I'm so sorry. She didn't wait for Sarah's reply. She pushed into the crowd, desperate to breathe, desperate to vanish, desperate for the doors. She collided with a wall. No arms. Strong hands steadied her. She looked up straight into pale gray eyes. "Leaving so soon?" Cale Varin murmured. "You said you weren't well. But now you look," his gaze sharpened, "frightened." Her breath hitched. "Who hurt you?" "Nothing happened," Leora whispered. "Please, let me go." Cale didn't tighten his grip, but he didn't release her either. His hands were steady, warm, somehow grounding her even as panic clawed at her ribs. "You're shaking," he said quietly. He wasn't wrong. Her whole body trembled. From fear. From humiliation. From the sudden terrifying awareness that he, of all people, had seen her like this. "Come with me." "I don't even know you," she said, breath thin. "No," Cale agreed softly. "But I'm not the one who made you afraid." His voice wasn't sharp this time. Not predatory. Just sure. He kept one hand light on her shoulder as he guided her through the ballroom, the crowd subtly parting as if instinctively unwilling to stand in his path. Whispers brushed her back like wind, but she didn't look up. Couldn't. A hidden door she hadn't noticed opened into a narrow corridor lined with oil paintings. Then a small private lounge with low light and a wide window overlooking the night-washed city. The door clicked shut. Silence. Only her heartbeat filled the space. Cale crossed to a bar cabinet, poured amber liquid into a crystal glass, and returned. "Drink." "I don't." "It's brandy," he said. "Good brandy. And you need it." She hesitated. He added, "If I wanted to hurt you, Leora, there are more efficient methods than drugging a drink in a private room." A twisted reassurance, but it worked. She took the glass with unsteady fingers and drank. Too fast. She coughed at the burn. "Slower," he murmured, almost amused. She collapsed onto the leather sofa, one hand gripping the glass, the other clutching her scarf like a lifeline. Cale sat across from her. Not touching. Not looming. Just watching with those sharp, winter-cold eyes that missed nothing. "What happened?" he asked. "Why do you care?" she whispered. "Humor me." Leora let out a hollow laugh. "You're a stranger. A dangerous one." He didn't flinch. "All of the rumors about me are true." Her pulse stuttered. "But I am not dangerous," he continued evenly, "to women who are already afraid. I'm dangerous to men who make them that way." The words slid between them, heavy, coiled. Leora stared at the brandy, watching the amber swirl. Her throat tightened. "Dorian pulled my scarf," she forced out. It slipped. They saw. Cale's expression barely moved, but she felt the shift, the sharp focus, the narrowing attention. "What?" he said softly, Did they see? Her breath caught. Shame rose like a tide. She couldn't speak. Cale leaned forward, elbows on his knees, eyes locked on hers. The scarf hides something. Fresh fear. Fresh pain. Someone hurt you recently. She didn't answer. You're protecting the wrong person, he murmured. That undid her. A sob broke loose, raw and humiliating. She covered her face with her free hand, shoulders shaking. The sofa dipped. Cale sat beside her. Not touching. Just close enough that his presence felt like a shield. She cried until the glass in her hand stopped rattling. I'm sorry, she choked. You shouldn't have to. I've seen worse, he said simply. She looked up. He offered a handkerchief, actual cloth, monogrammed. The gesture so unexpectedly gentle her throat tightened. 3 weeks ago, she whispered, I left someone. Cale's jaw flexed. Good. Evan, her voice broke. He put his hands around my throat. I thought he would kill me. The room held still. I went to my parents. They wanted me to report it. I couldn't. I came back, tried to pretend everything was normal. And tonight? Cale asked. Sarah begged me to come. I didn't want anyone to see, to ask questions. Why? He asked, voice low. Because I stayed, she said, tears burning again. Because I let him. Stop. One word. Sharp as a blade. You didn't let anything happen. A violent man made a choice. The shame is his. She stared at him, stunned. My mother wore scarves too, Cale said quietly. Long sleeves. Makeup that didn't hide everything. Leora's breath trembled. I was 8 when I understood why, he continued. 15 when I made sure he never touched her again. He didn't elaborate. He didn't need to. A shock of dark satisfaction flickered through her. Where is he now? She asked softly. Dead for 23 years, Cale said. Break failure. Tragic accident. Their eyes met. 2 childhoods scarred by violence. 2 adults shaped by survival. What was his name? Cale asked. The man who hurt you. Evan Mercer. Cale's voice dipped into something dangerous. And where is Evan Mercer now? I don't want you to do anything, she whispered. I just want to forget. That, Cale murmured, is not how trauma works. A knock shattered the quiet. Cale stood, expression shifting from human warmth to cold predator in a heartbeat. He opened the door, listened to the man on the other side, then shut it. Your sister is making a scene, he said. Dorian is telling people you've been unstable. He's protecting his reputation. Not you. Mortification stabbed through her. Cale approached, hand extended. Come. I'll take you home. You don't have to. I know. His gaze softened. I want to. She hesitated. If you leave through the front, he murmured, they will stare. Her stomach twisted. Cale held out his hand, steady, patient, waiting. Leora placed her trembling fingers in his. He led her out the back door into the cool, blessed quiet of night. The black car glided up to the curb like it had been summoned by a thought. The driver stepped out without a word, opening the rear door as if this were routine. As if escorting trembling women away from glittering nightmares was simply part of Cale Varen's evening. My building is in. I know where you live, Cale said. Leora stiffened. He added, Dorian has been trying to force a partnership with me for months. Background checks on associates and their families are standard. Nothing invasive. Just information. Somehow, coming from him, that felt more protective than intrusive. She slid into the car. Cold leather met her back, but Cale's presence beside her radiated quiet warmth. The city lights smeared across the windows as they pulled away, turning the night into streaks of gold and blue. Exhaustion hit her like gravity. "Thank you," she whispered, "for getting me out. For listening. For not asking for anything. Perhaps I wanted to." His eyes were on her, their intensity softened, but still sharp enough to see through her defenses. "Why?" she murmured. "You don't know me." "Not yet," he said. "But I'd like to." Her breath caught. "I recognize strength when I see it, Liora. Tonight, you didn't just survive. You stood your ground. Even when you were afraid. I don't feel strong. Strength isn't the absence of fear." His voice was quiet, certain. "It's choosing to keep moving." Something inside her, something that had been curled tight for 3 weeks, uncoiled slightly. When the car stopped at her building, she didn't move. She wasn't ready to step into the silence of her apartment. Cale must have seen the hesitation. "When you're ready," he said, "I'd like to take you to dinner. Quiet place. No scarves required." Her pulse fluttered. "I'm not ready for dating." "This isn't dating." He paused, searching her expression. This is a conversation shared between two people who've known fear and refused to let it own them. His honesty unraveled her. "I'll think about it," she whispered. "That's all I ask." He handed her a business card. "Call me any time. For anything." She stepped out of the car, cool night air washing over her. She'd taken only a few steps when his voice reached her again. "Liora." She turned. Cale leaned slightly out the window, eyes colder now, piercing. "Evan Mercer," he said. "Is he the kind of man who accepts endings?" Her stomach dropped. A chill ran down her spine. I don't know." He called. Left messages. "I blocked him but men like that rarely take no for an answer." Cale's jaw tightened. "If he contacts you again, call me immediately. Don't face him alone." "Why would you?" "Because I meant what I said." His voice was soft. "Dangerous. Men who hurt women deserve consequences." The car pulled away, leaving Liora alone on the sidewalk with her scarf, her bruises, and a business card that suddenly felt like a lifeline. The next morning, daylight felt too bright. Her phone lit up with 17 missed calls from Sarah and a single text. "We need to talk." Liora sipped her coffee, refusing to face drama without caffeine, and called back. "Where have you been?" Sarah's voice was sharp with panic. "You disappeared with Cale Varin and Dorian is." "I didn't disappear." Liora inhaled slowly. "Cale gave me a ride home because your fiancé publicly grabbed me." Sarah went silent. "Liora, when Dorian pulled your scarf," her voice softened. "Those marks. How long has this been happening?" "It was Evan." The words shook, but didn't break this time. "Evan and his temper. Evan and his hands. Oh my God." Sarah's breath hitched. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because I was ashamed," Liora whispered. "Because I knew Dorian would care about what it looked like, not whether I was okay." Sarah didn't argue. That was answer enough. "Cale, what was he like?" Sarah asked. Leora's thoughts drifted. Silver eyes, quiet intensity, unexpected gentleness, the way he never touched without warning. "Different," she said softly. "Not safe. But not unsafe either. Just honest." The week blurred. Teaching art to 12-year-olds, pretending nothing was wrong, but the scarf stayed off. Not a declaration, just a step. A step toward breathing again. But on Thursday, when she left school and saw Evan Mercer leaning against her car, everything inside her froze. Her keys slipped from her shaking hand. He smiled. That charming smile she used to love. The one she now recognized as a mask. "Hey, Liora," he said casually. "We need to talk." "No, Evan." Her voice trembled. "We don't. You blocked my number. How is that communication?" He pushed off the car, taking a slow step closer. "We had a fight, baby. Couples fight. You put your hands around my throat. You were hysterical. I was calming you down." She backed toward the school entrance. Her chest tightened. Air wouldn't fill her lungs. "If you come near me again," she said, "I'll file a police report." "With what evidence?" Evan's tone sharpened. "You waited weeks. You never reported anything. I'll tell them you're lying because I broke up with you." Her stomach twisted. She grabbed the door handle. "Get help, Evan," she whispered, "before you hurt someone else." She slipped inside and ran to the bathroom, barely making it before she collapsed over the sink and threw up. When she finally called Cale, her hands still trembled. "He was waiting by my car." A small, breaking sound escaped her. "Cale, he knows where I work." "Where are you now?" Cale's voice was calm. Too calm. Deadly calm. "In my classroom." "Stay there. I'll be there in 20 minutes." He arrived in 15. Cale stepped from the sleek black car. Not alone. 2 men in dark suits flanked him, both moving with the coiled readiness of predators awaiting a signal. Liora watched from the window as Cale looked up and raised one hand. A quiet reassurance. A promise. She exhaled. He was here. She wasn't alone. Cale was already moving the moment Liora stepped outside the school doors. His men flanked her without touching, forming a subtle perimeter as if they'd rehearsed protecting her all their lives. The air around Cale had changed. Gone was the patient, sardonic man from the ballroom. What remained was the version people whispered about in headlines and rumors, controlled violence wrapped in an immaculate suit. "He's gone," Liora said when she reached him. "He left almost an hour ago." Cale studied her face, then her trembling hands. "Give me his license plate." She handed him her phone. She hadn't even realized she'd taken a picture until the moment after Evan fled, her body running on pure survival instinct. Cale passed the phone to one of his men, a tall, silent figure whose fingers flew across a secured device. He spoke quietly to Cale, who nodded once. Then Cale turned back to her. "Liora," he said gently, "you are not staying in your apartment tonight." "What?" "Cale, no, I can't just." "You can." His voice softened, but the softness made it more undeniable. "And you will." "I have school tomorrow," she whispered. "My students." "Will understand if you need a few days," he said calmly. "Or I will assign someone to escort you there and back. But you are not going home alone while Evan Mercer is roaming unchecked." Her pulse stuttered. Shame, fear, pride, they tangled together, making her throat tight. She wanted to argue. She wanted to insist she could handle herself. But her hands were still trembling. And Cale hadn't missed that. "Okay," she whispered. "Where am I going?" Cale's hand brushed her elbow, not possessive, just enough for her to feel anchored. "Somewhere he cannot reach you." The apartment he took her to was nothing like her cozy, cluttered little home. This one, 40 floors up in a Manhattan high-rise, looked like a place reserved for people with corner offices and private jets. Floor-to-ceiling windows. Steel and glass. A skyline that glittered like spilled jewels across the night. It should have unsettled her. Yet the moment the door closed behind them, she exhaled for the first time since she'd seen Evan leaning against her car. "This is too much," she murmured. "I can't afford." "You're not paying for it." Cale stepped closer, hands in his pockets, eyes unreadable. "It's a favor." "Favors come with debts." "Yes," he said. "Mine does too." She stiffened. "The only debt you owe me," Cale continued softly, is honesty. If you feel unsafe, tell me. If he contacts you, tell me. If you want to leave, tell me. That's all." She swallowed hard. The sincerity in those 3 repeated words hit deeper than any threat could have. "Why are you doing this?" she whispered. "Really?" Cale looked past her, out the towering windows. His reflection in the glass was sharp, haunted. "Because I can," he said finally. "Because you need help, and I have resources." Then his voice dipped lower, gravel softened. "And because I know what it's like to watch someone you care about suffer. To feel powerless to stop it." His jaw tightened. "I couldn't protect my mother. But I can help you." The raw honesty in that admission tightened something in her chest. She moved to the window, arms wrapping around herself. "I feel like I'm losing control of everything," she whispered. 3 weeks ago, I thought leaving Evan would be the hardest part. But I'm not free. I'm just terrified somewhere else." She felt him before she heard him, his warmth, his steady presence behind her. "Fear lies," Cale murmured. "It tells you the worst parts of your life will repeat forever. But they won't. Healing takes time. And while you heal," his voice softened further, "you deserve to be protected." Slowly, she turned. Cale stood close enough she could see the shard-like flecks of blue inside his normally gray eyes. "What happens when this is over?" she asked. "When I don't need protection anymore?" A slow smile touched the corner of his mouth. "Then," Cale said, "we'll have that dinner I promised." Her breath caught. "I'm broken, Cale. I don't know if I can give anyone anything right now." "I'm not asking for anything," he murmured, "except your company, your truth." His hand lifted, slow, deliberate, and brushed a strand of hair behind her ear. It was the gentlest touch she'd felt in months. "I find you extraordinary, Liora Vale. I can wait as long as you need." Her eyes stung. "You're very patient for someone with such a dangerous reputation." Cale's smile deepened, dark, knowing. "I'm patient when something is worth it." Liora stayed in the apartment for 3 days. Cale visited each evening, bringing food, quiet conversation, and a safety that felt impossible yet undeniable. They sat on the couch with city lights spilling across them like constellations. He listened. He never touched without permission. He never pushed. And for the first time in a very long time, she slept. On the 3rd night, Cale arrived with news. "Evan Mercer has been arrested." Leora's breath froze. "For what?" she whispered. "Assault," Cale said. "Another woman came forward. Someone he dated before you." Her stomach hollowed. "Another woman. Maybe more." "The police are investigating," Cale continued. "They may contact you. Whether you give a statement is up to you. Not me. Not them. You." Liora closed her eyes, imagining the countless hours Evan had spent charming and manipulating before the moments he snapped. Imagining others who didn't see it coming. "I'll testify," she said softly. "I'll tell them everything." Cale nodded once. Something like pride flickered in his eyes. "I've already arranged a lawyer," he said. "One of the best in the city. She's expecting your call." "You knew I'd say yes." "I hoped you would," he replied. "There is a difference." For the first time in weeks, Liora felt steady, certain, ready. Tomorrow, she would start reclaiming her life. But tonight, Cale Varren was watching her with quiet intensity, the kind that curled heat low in her stomach. And something inside her whispered, "You are not alone anymore." Patricia Chen, the prosecutor Cale had arranged, was sharp-eyed, razor-voiced, and terrifyingly competent. Under her guidance, Liora gave her official statement, every word scraping raw places she'd tried to bury. She relived the night Evan's hands crushed her throat. The choking panic. The black dots. The silence afterward. But she didn't break. Not this time. By the end of the week, Patricia placed a hand over Leora's. "Your testimony will help other women come forward," she said. "You're stronger than you think." Liora didn't feel strong. Not until Saturday night arrived. Cale arrived at exactly 7. He always moved with elegance, but tonight something was different. Intentional. Controlled. He wore a charcoal suit cut to his broad shoulders, and when he saw her, standing in the soft blue dress she'd chosen, throat bare, his breath caught almost imperceptibly. "Liora," he murmured, offering his arm. "You look perfect." Heat curled beneath her ribs. Not lust, though that simmered. Not admiration. Something deeper. Something that made her want to inhale the moment like oxygen. He took her to a small Italian restaurant tucked between brownstones, a place so discreet it barely seemed real. Candlelight flickered in the windows, the warm glow spilling over polished wooden tables. The owner greeted Cale like an old friend and led them to a corner booth shielded from view. "You own this place?" Liora asked once they sat. "No," Cale said. "I helped the owner get a loan. The banks thought he wasn't worth the risk." She raised a brow. "And you did. Some people just need someone to believe in them." He said it casually, but something in the way he watched her told her it wasn't casual at all. They ordered pasta, wine, bread dipped in olive oil, and talked. Really talked. About her art students. His childhood in Russia. The first time she'd realized Evan's charm had a sharp edge. The moment he realized his father was a monster. "Most people pretend they don't know what I am," Cale said at one point, twirling pasta with lazy precision. "They avoid mentioning anything real." "I'm not most people," she replied. "And I figure if I'm considering dinner with a dangerous man, I should know what I'm getting into." "Ask me anything." His voice dropped, low and steady. "I'll answer honestly. Have you ever killed anyone?" A slight pause. "Yes." "Recently?" "No. Not in years." He met her eyes without flinching. "I've delegated since then. Do you feel guilty?" "No," Cale said simply. "I feel responsible. There's a difference." He leaned forward. "The men I killed hurt people. They destroyed lives. I removed a threat. Nothing more." She held his gaze. Maybe she should have been afraid. But she wasn't. Not of him. "Did you have something to do with Evan's arrest?" she asked softly. Cale's smile sharpened. "I made a few calls. Ensured the investigation moved quickly. Helped locate other victims." His eyes darkened. "But the woman who came forward did that with her own courage. I simply cleared the path." She released a shaky breath. "Thank you. I care about you," he said. "Helping ensure your abuser faces justice is the bare minimum." The words landed in her chest like a hand settling over her heart. After dinner, they walked through rain-slick streets, her hand tucked into the crook of his elbow. He stopped beside the car, reached into his jacket, and pulled out a small velvet box. "I have something for you." "Cale, just open it." Inside lay a delicate gold necklace. A small bird mid-flight, wings outstretched. Leora's breath hitched. "I thought," Cale said quietly, "that you might want something that represents where you're going, not where you've been." Her eyes stung. "It's beautiful." He stepped behind her, lifting her hair as he fastened the clasp. His hands brushed her skin, warm, steady. When she turned, his fingers drifted along her throat, tracing the now faded shadows Evan left behind. "You're free now," he said. "Evan's bail was denied. His charges are serious. You can go back to your old life." "I know." She pressed her hand over his, keeping it against her throat. But what if I don't want my old life back? What if I want this? Cale's breath deepened. Then I'm yours, he said softly. As long as you'll have me. But you're not a safe man, Cale. You've said so yourself. No, he murmured, brushing his thumb along her jaw. But I will be safe for you. I know what you are, she whispered. And I still want you. His resolve broke. He pulled her in, kissed her like she was breath and heat and gravity, like she was the one thing in the world he'd chosen freely. When he finally tore himself away, his voice was rough. Mine, he whispered. Say it. Yours, she breathed. And you're mine. 6 months later, Liora stood in court and faced Evan Mercer. She told the truth. All of it. The courtroom lights didn't feel harsh this time. When she faltered, she found Cale in the gallery, still, strong, a silent anchor. Evan was convicted. 8 years. When the verdict hit, something inside Liora unclenched, a knot she hadn't realized she'd been carrying since the first time Evan raised his voice at her. Outside the courthouse, Cale wrapped her in his arms and held her through the shaking relief. It's over, she whispered into his chest. It is, he murmured. And now we begin. They married a year later in a small ceremony. Sarah stood beside her. Leora's parents cried. Cale looked at her like she was something holy. That night, as she stood in front of the mirror removing her jewelry, Cale stepped behind her and unfastened her necklace. The golden bird caught the light. Do you know why I chose this design? He asked. Because I was finally free, she said. No, he turned her gently to face him. Because you were always meant to fly. You just needed to remember how. Liora smiled through a sudden rush of emotion. We saved each other, she whispered. Cale kissed her, slow, reverent, claiming. Her scarf lay tucked away in a drawer somewhere, forgotten. She would never hide her throat again.